All right. So today's episode, obviously, what it's titled by is The Death of Loyalty, guys. And I'll give you a little intro and then we'll go break this down. Do you guys like these outlines of these topics that are very in-depth? Let me know. Take a sip of some coffee. So good. This last one was... Okay. All right, let's get into this. So it's the death of loyalty, right? And I have it started off like this. And then we'll get into thoughts on McCafe. Are you serious? I have a espresso machine for DeLonghi, and I make homemade stuff with great milk and specialty beans. Don't disrespect me with fucking McCafe, bro. How dare you? Get that acidic shit away from me. You want to fucking basically pee out of your ass? Go ahead and drink that acid. McCafe is crazy work, dude. Holy shit. Okay. So the rules have completely changed, boys. Every social contract that held society together is now broken. This we know. And most people are barely catching on to this. And everybody in here can feel it. Everybody out there could feel it, right? The sense that what worked for your parents somehow is working against you today, right? That playing by the rules gets you nowhere, while the rule breakers seem to be getting ahead. And you're not crazy. The game did fucking change on us like immediately, but nobody told you that it did. And here's what happened. Essentially, every institution discovered that they could take without giving, that they could demand loyalty without returning any of it. Sound familiar? That they could break all the promises while expecting you to keep yours. And nothing would collapse, at least not immediately, while they make their record profits, yeah? So your employer wants 2 weeks notices, but fires people with 2-minute warnings. Your bank hits you with fees for being poor while gambling with your fucking deposits, making more money. Your insurance company, you give them decades of payments. Perfect. Never missed anything whatsoever. Then they fight you tooth and nail when your house is flooding. Every institution wants total fucking commitment from you while offering zero security. And it wasn't always this way. Companies used to offer pensions. Governments used to build things. Universities used to be paths to prosperity, not debt traps. Banks used to help you build wealth. Now they help extract it all from you. And the shift is happening fast. In just the last 20 years alone, right? It seems like everything went into overdrive. And you probably know someone who got laid off after 15 fucking years of perfect reviews, always on time, right? You probably pay more in fees than you earn in interest for every company that you've ever worked for, every banknote you've ever had. You probably have a degree that costs more than a house, but it qualifies you for jobs that don't pay the fucking rent. And this isn't a personal failure like it make it seem. This is systemic betrayal. The boomers will tell you that you didn't pull yourself up by your fucking bootstraps, right? Well, here's the moment that should terrify you. They're not hiding this shit anymore. Companies openly brag about restructuring while they post record profits, just like COVID, right? Politicians insider trade on legislation they write. Universities raise tuition every fucking year while sitting on billion-dollar endowments. They know you see it happening. They just don't give a fuck anymore. The younger generations get called disloyal, like Gen Z, even some younger millennials, for job hopping. But they're the ones who understand these new rules. They watch their parents get destroyed for being loyal. They saw 30 fucking year careers end in 5-minute Zoom calls. Their disloyalty, as these people like to call it, it's not a character flaw, it's adaptation. Right? Most people are stuck in this weird space where they know something's wrong, but they feel powerless to fix it. One's in the chat if that's exactly how you feel. Yeah? You see the scam, but you think your only option is to play along with it. It's like being an abuse victim who knows they're being abused, but you can't imagine leaving because you're stuck, bro. You starve to death otherwise. You have to go along with the game. You have to think of it like this, right? Your loyalty is a currency, and you've been giving it away for free. These fucking institutions need you more than you need them. They just built a system where you never actually realize this. Think about what happens when people stop believing the lies, when the workers stop accepting the "we're a family" from companies that treat them like fucking equipment, when citizens stop trusting governments that serve donors over voters, when customers stop being loyal to banks that see them as prey. This whole thing starts falling apart. That whole family speech is so ass. We're a family, but won't help the guy next to you who's undergoing cancer treatments, can't show up to work, and then ultimately let him go on a performance review right after telling him how much of a family we are a week ago. Isn't that fucked? We're not talking some distant future, guys. This is happening today, right now. This whole labor shortage, it's not about lazy workers. It's workers who stopped buying into the bullshit. The political upheaval, they'll try to make it seem like a left versus right thing, but really it's about haves and have-nots. right? It's not about the technology. It's about trust. Every institution is now scrambling because these people are waking up en masse. And it's not in some conspiracy theory kind of way. It's just like, wait, why am I accepting minimum wage pay that doesn't even help me pay my bills on a basic level, right? The social contract, it wasn't renegotiated. They shredded that fucking shit to pieces. And tonight is what I want to map with you guys, or day, depends on where you're watching, but it's about to be nighttime where I'm at. And we're going to piece all of this together, how they broke everything that we were promised, right? We're going to map the betrayal out. We're going to talk about every single industry, by industry, institution by institution. I'm going to show you some receipts, name some fucking names, right? We're going to talk about what comes next in this system, what we can do to make things work for ourselves. You saw a sneak peek in the very beginning too, by the way. And because, well, recognizing the scam is one thing, but step 2 is building something better for yourself. The old world is dead. They fucking killed it off. The American dream doesn't exist for the average person anymore. Yeah. And it wasn't through malice, not like they hate us. It's just through insane fucking greed. That's what it was. Greed drove them to do this. They pretty much optimized every institution for extraction until there was nothing left to extract. The well is dry. People's pockets are collecting lint. There's nothing you can do but go your own way. And I mean that financially speaking. So that's our intro to basically what I wanted to break down for you guys today, because we live in such an insane society, man, that everything we were promised basically disappeared before you hit grade school. And yet they still pushed us through that entire pipeline, knowing that it would end up in failure. I don't even know what to call that. It's the most disgusting thing ever. Imagine they tell you to go to school, get a college degree for a job that no longer exists, that the very companies are shipping out, and they know it's being shipped out. But they want your bucks, your dollars. Yeah. Welcome to the new world. You will own nothing and be happy, apparently, right? So loyalty is a two-way street. And every institution in America made it one-way extraction scheme. And they're shocked when people start to lay down, when men check out of the system and they don't want to play along anymore. So we have to define the loyalty crisis and what it is. So when you talk about that, you're talking about the social contract that we used to have, right? What loyalty used to mean to us as a whole used to be very simple things, actually. You had mutual obligation between individual and institution. All right. And that meant something like you worked for a company, you put in 30 years of service, you came out with pension and security, like our great grandpappy did, or maybe your father, right? For the country, that meant if you served the military, you would get VA benefits and respect, right? The VA is a fucking joke, and nobody gets respect for going into the military. They make fun of you and they meme you for buying a fucking Dodge Charger on 30% interest rate. And your woman is getting plowed while you're in Afghanistan. So there's that. That's what military service gets you, right? Then the church also, right? Tithing. So community support in crisis, essentially, the church would help you during something that you were, let's just say your house flooded or burned down or whatever, the community would rally around you, right? This was a simple two-way street, man. You sacrificed and then there was a reward for it. You couldn't even call it reward, but it was sacrifice and reward for the sacrifice if you ever needed it. And then there were clear expectations on both sides. Now, it's a one-sided extraction, okay? So institutions will demand loyalty while offering you nothing they did your grandfather. Willing to gut your job or your entire department if it makes sense, or the next AI that comes out will completely replace you. No golden parachutes for you. That's it. It just all disappears. Thank you, Ted, for putting in 15 years, but this latest fucking ChatGPT can now do your job for free to us, practically. So, good job. Here's a fake Dr. Pepper that is like a Pib or some shit, right? It's some off-brand garbage, Mr. Fizzler or whatever the fuck. They don't even get you the name brand Dr. Pepper, and they can't even order you a name brand pizza. They get you some frozen shit from the fucking, frozen pizza aisle that the microwave just finished making. Yeah, DiGiorno. Worse than DiGiorno, bro. They get you the fucking store brand DiGiorno. Yeah, Dr. Crapper. That's what you're given. And a fucking hat and a little thing that you blow that makes like a sound, one of those little party blowers. And then a swift kick out the fucking door and never show up again. That's what you get. Give us everything. Expect nothing. That's your new deal in this world. So loyalty has to flow upward. You have to prove to me, the company, why we should hire you. Benefits never trickle down with these guys. They have record profits and record layoffs. How the fuck is that happening? There's no investigation, okay? Then there's bailouts. Remember, we're supposed to be a capitalistic society. Yet somehow we bailed out the banks because they were too big to fail, is what we were told. We had to socialize the losses, taxpayer funded bailouts for private companies that were fucking around with our money. And who went to jail for that? A mid-level guy. One guy during the 08-09 crash. One guy on Wall Street went to jail. He was a patsy. No executives went to jail. They gave themselves bonuses. Incredible. Okay? Now, on top of this, you throw in the generational divide. So boomers still believe in institutional loyalty because they got theirs. Fuck you, I got mine. You dirty millennial. You stupid fucking Gen Z tard. You broke ass. Oh, Gen Alpha, you're too retarded anyways for this world. That's what they think because the institutions meant something for them, had power, loyalty, provided a reward in return, and now they pulled up the ladder behind themselves and say, fuck you, got mine, right? Gen Z watched parents get screwed. They stayed cynical about it, the lost generation. And then millennials and Gen Z, they never knew a loyal institution in the fucking first place. They were born into betrayal, mass layoffs, companies taking advantage, predatory loans, markets, recession, shit like that happening from companies misbehaving and not being punished. Our most prolific stock traders, Nancy Pelosi, for example, were born into that system. We're watching corpses, skeletons being wheelchaired out into Congress, into the Senate. That's what we got to grow up on. Corpses that make the laws and the rules for us while they pillage this country as they're on their last breath of fucking life. Yeah? So, loyalty to us is literally stupidity. They want feudal peasant loyalty while offering you gig economy scraps, guys. And the numbers don't fucking lie for any of this.
Isaac sent $5. Only way I see things working out moving forward is some form of UB. Otherwise I can only see this country falling if AI replaces everyone.
UBI, that'll be an interesting conversation once 70% of jobs disappear with AI, and we'll see what direction they take it, how they want to divvy up funds. That world's very interesting and it's coming quickly. And if you don't solidify a financial base for yourself and you're going to have to depend on UBI, you're going to be in a world of hurt. When they said you will own nothing and you'll be happy, I believe UBI is an instrumental portion in that happening. Be very careful with UBI. So the trust in institutions, they're at an all-time low. Congress, what is their approval rating? 7%. The media, 32% trust, guys. That's down from 72% in 1976. It's all a propaganda arm of the government now. Big business, 14% confidence. Organized religion, 31%. It was 65% in 1975. Now we have churches with LGBTQ pastors. It's a complete
David
mockery.
Wallace sent $4.99.
I appreciate you, David. Thanks, brother. Then you have the loyalty tax, guys. So what happens when you're a good boy and you take the scraps they give you? Well, if you stay at a company for too long, you will have 50% less lifetime earnings. We already know that job hoppers earn 25% more over career-wise. So every 2 years, if you switch careers, you get a huge pay bump. But if you stay at the same company, you get punished. So loyalty quite literally is financially punished. And there are cases, multiple stories of people going from two companies every 2 years, switching back and forth. You got hired at this company, worked for them for 2 years, then hopped back to your old company. They gave you that raise, matching your old business. Then you went to the next one and the next one and the next one. And that's what you do to earn significantly more than had you stayed at the same company. Okay? So company loyalty literally costs you money. Loyalty used to be an investment and it's a liability these days. So let's start where most of us learned this lesson. For one, corporate America, this is the original betrayal for us all. This was the grand, if you just put in work, you will get rewarded with the American dream, right? This is what we call the death of the company man, right? The golden age lie. You know, you got a job at IBM, it was for life. Then they laid off 60 fucking thousand people in 1993, right? GE built the middle class, basically, you could say. And then they destroyed fucking pensions. Kodak, you guys remember that? They had 145,000 employees at one point, guys. You remember you used to take pictures on a Kodak and go get the film done in store? They ignored digital. Now they're down to 5,000 people. If they're even still active, I don't know. I haven't checked lately. Loyalty means nothing when quarterly earnings are called out. 30-year veterans are thrown out like fucking garbage to hire a monkey to do that same job for cheaper because you're in the upper earning band for that employee with that much seasoning. Yeah? And when it comes to loyalty meaning nothing because of the quarterly earnings, I want you guys to look this up. Do your own homework on this because we can't really talk about this because it involves a certain country and people. I want you to look up Ford versus Dodge Motor Company and what happened when Ford tried to pay his workers a living wage, splitting the profit because Ford Motor Company was making so much money that Dodge brothers sued them for not acting on behalf of the on the behalf of the investors. Think about that. I want you to look that up. I'm not joking. Ford got sued by Dodge Motor Company because they are wanting to pay their workers too much. Yes, it's called shareholder primacy. Thank you for reminding me. So Dodge argued that Ford was not complying with shareholder responsibilities that they had to their shareholders. Yeah. Stupendous.
David Wallace sent $9.99. Bo, how would you suggest starting the revolution? Massive non-compliances in the form of not paying federal taxes seems like a great start. Actually getting that to happen would be a different story.
No, not paying taxes, you end up in jail. The machine's too big. You have to start a grassroots campaign for a third party that takes a significant chunk out of the two-party uniswamp. That's the only way. You have to mobilize men in mass to reject voting Democrat or Republican, where a significant portion of voter share goes into the third party. You can only take power within the system by acting within the confines. If you want to go outside the system, we're going to be talking about revolution, and that requires something most people are not willing to sacrifice, is potentially their lives. So we're not even going to go there. Yeah, fiduciary responsibility is what they were arguing against Ford. Now, because people have too much to lose, or at least because they're trinkets, it feels like they have too much to lose. We have to talk about how to operate within the system, and that is we have to galvanize an entire population of men, first through channels, first through media, first through whatever it is, to seed a thought in their heads that they don't have to partake in the current broken system, and we can rebuild one within it that can challenge the system from within, aka not voting for any of these two-party swamp creatures. That's it. We have to, it takes a local level of civic duty and responsibility that young men have to take. We have to create chapters within every local city, town, state where men are actually coming together and forming a political machine, a force that can affect change. This is the only way you could do this without shedding blood. That's it. Yeah. Okay. So back on track here. The modern corporate sociopaths that we have here today. What do you think the average CEO tenure is? I want to ask you guys if you know. Think about this. The average CEO tenure, 5 fucking years, right? While they demand your lifetime loyalty, by the way. Do you know what the CEO pay ratio is compared to an average worker? So it's a ratio like 10 to 1, 100 to 1, 1,000 to 1. What do you think a CEO gets paid ratio-wise? It's 351. A CEO makes an average 351 times the average worker in their company. Fucking wild. You know what it was in 1965? 21 to 1. We went from 21 to 351. This is the upward transfer of wealth from the middle class into the elite. The haves versus the have-nots. This is class warfare. The rich have stolen from you. Don't ever let them gaslight you and say, no, just this whole the rich stole from you. Your productivity increased. Your wages have not. They make record profits somehow, some way. The middle class shrinks. Makes perfect sense, right? So the profits for all these companies are at all-time highs. Job security is at all-time low. We're a family until the layoff season comes and hits you, right? Pizza parties for everybody instead of a real fucking pay raise so that you could actually raise a fucking family. Then they have the at-will employment scam. Yeah, I could fire you for any fucking reason at any time whatsoever, but I demand 2 weeks notice. That's what's expected of you. But for them, the notice is 0. I fire you on the spot when I feel like it. Then they have non-competes that prevent you from leaving, right? It's heads, they'll win, tails, you lose. That's really what it is. They're one-sided contracts everywhere in the industry, wherever you work. That's how fucked it is, right? HR exists to protect the company from you, not to protect you from the company. That's the only reason HR exists in corporations today. And then they have the balls to give you the gig economy gaslighting that they do to us today. There's a be your own boss propaganda, but it's not actually being your own boss. It's relying on corporations again. To actually be your own boss, actually, right? You have to be your own HR, IT, accounting, insurance agent, all this shit. They expect you to do all these gig jobs that give you no benefits, right? No security. All the risk is on you. You have to use your own assets, like your own car, just to do basic work that provides you with nothing but the basic pay so that they can avoid giving you health insurance and all the other benefits that you're supposed to have, right? The algorithm is your new sociopathic boss, right? Uber drivers are averaging $3.37 an hour after expenses, guys. I want you to think about this for a second. In 2025, after expenses, an Uber driver averages $3.37 fucking cents. They call this shit a job. That's not minimum wage. That's illegal. That's below minimum wage. Flexibility that the jobs market themselves as is actually poor. Flexibility means poor. When you hear jobs say it's flexible, understand poor is what they're saying, right? The benefits got fucking massacred across the board. Pensions, they went extinct. Only 15% of private workers today have pensions still. Your 401k, you have to fund that. That's your own retirement that you have to fund. And some companies match it, not all of it. And your healthcare, that's tied to the job that you could lose at any time. They basically have golden handcuffs on you and they're made of fucking tin, right? The benefits designed to trap you, not help you. People feel trapped by their jobs. There's people that are staying in jobs where they're being abused by their employer because they can't afford to lose the health insurance. That's fucking crazy. And they disrupted everything except their ability to exploit you. But then you would think, okay, surely education must be different, right? It can't be everywhere. And then we go into the education industrial complex that they've built up. The universities created the great debt trap, the promise versus reality. The promise was what? You go to school, you get a degree, then you'll get a good job and you get a good middle-class lifestyle. That's what we were all striving for, picking ourselves up by our own bootstraps. The reality was that now we're at 1.7 trillion fucking dollars in student debt. That's the reality.
The resident airsoft sent $19.99.
Appreciate you, brother.
Why don't the shareholders of these companies ever have the forward thinking that if their workers have a livable wage then they would spend more within their corporations, making then tons more money as a result?
Greed. One word. Greed. And we touched up on it earlier. It's not rational thinking. It's how much can I get now? Because the wealth I acquire today, I could use to snowball into more and more wealth that sets up my family dynasty forever. I'll get so rich with my own greed that whatever happens to the economy, I could escape like a leech does with a host to somebody else that's healthier, to a healthier host. Once I suck this dry, I can move on to the next place. That's what they are. Greed turns them into leeches on society. They suck up the wealth. And when they do that, they destroy the middle class as a result. This is why you're poor. This is why they can't stop themselves. They get drunk on their greed. The power. That's what causes this shit. And the average debt for the students, when we're going back and talking about the education trap, is $37,000. It's not just businessman's greed. The greed runs across all aisles of society. Why does a college need this much money from a student? Because the government backs it and it's guaranteed money. So $37,000 for you to be potentially unemployable with that degree, right? Tuition is up 1,200% since 1980, guys. And wages are only up 20% for graduates since then. Do you see how much education has outpaced your wages? It makes no fucking sense until you understand the government got its greedy, stupid fucking noses in the education complex, turning it into dog shit for us all. The paper you graduate with isn't worth anything. Why? Because the administrative bloat. Yeah? That's up 221% since 1980. The faculty that makes up the actual teachers is up only 40%. Mid-level management, admins. Why do we need all these? Why? Because they must somehow fight for their endowments. Leeches. They provide no value to the college. Your admin salaries are consuming the majority of college budgets. And students pay more for less education. And the professors could be on fucking food stamps while the presidents will make millions of dollars. And the credential inflation scam is something we already know. Most colleges, I would say, print garbage degrees that are worth on human studies, women's studies, intersectionality, this and that, garbage. Your degree is fucking meaningless. They managed to extract all the money from you, right? Jobs that used to just require something as simple as a high school degree now need a fucking bachelor's because the money printer must keep going. Entry level requires 5 years experience. We've talked about that before. How the fuck do I graduate college and the very entry level job that my college degree should qualify me for with a bachelor's also needed me to work 5 fucking years, bro? How? Where? Was I supposed to have a full-time fucking job in your company while getting my college degree somehow magically? It's like AI slop hiring. They don't even look. HR is so fucking stupid. They don't even check the requirements for these entry-level jobs. So what is it? I need to go get my master's next? Is that what it is? Stupendous, yes? So then they create these fucking, like basically today, the master's is the new bachelor's. And there's endless credentialism treadmills that are popping up everywhere. And each degree is worth less than the last. They sold your future to Sally Mae and called it opportunity, boys. That's what they did, right? And then they give you the loyalty bait and switch, where they exploit the alumni. Constant donation requests while you pay off your fucking loans. The give back to institution that put you in debt. They love to tell you that shit and that your success is credited to them. But if you fail, that's your fault, you fucking moron. Not us. We educated you, right? They want loyalty after financially crippling your ass, and then they'll guilt trip you from their millionaire development offices. Fucking wild. The abuse runs deep, right? Adjunct abuse. 75% of faculty are adjuncts. They have no job security. A PhD makes less than fast food workers. Let me pause you there. PhDs. There's PhDs that make less than fast food workers. They have to teach 5 fucking classes at 3 schools to survive. And they demand excellence while offering exploitation to these people. Perpetually stuck in self-education. Not self-education, but education at the professional level, PhD. Right? Loyalty to institutions that treats teachers like fucking Uber drivers, like garbage. Incredible, isn't it? Right? A university is just a hedge fund with a library attached. That's it. And then you may think, Bo, if private institution failed us, surely government didn't, right? Corporations are greedy, we get it. Education's become a scam, but the government, right? I voted in Trump to fix all this shit. Surely the government cares, yeah? Oh my God, welcome to Taxation Without Representation 2.0. So a defense contractor, or I should say the defense contracting conglomerate, the industry itself, gets $750 billion annually. The government, right? Corporate subsidies, $100 billion. This is your hard-earned tax money. By the way, when you look at 30% of them taking out of your check, every fucking paycheck, which you could have used so much to save yourself, that 30% would have made your life so much easier, right? You would have slept so much better. You would have been at so much more ease. The stress, the burden would have lifted off your shoulders if you would have kept that 30% they keep, yeah? That they take from you to give to these defense contractors and all these corporate subsidies. No. Your actual benefit for all of this is the crumbling infrastructure all around you, our roads, our bridges, yes, our schools. They're all fucking falling apart. Our kids go to schools where their books have fucking holes in them, where the desks are fucking crooked. Yeah? Our tax dollars, this should piss you off the most. Our tax dollars fund stock buybacks for some companies. If you don't know what a stock buyback is, it's where a company takes extra cash reserves and instead of doling it out to workers or investing in their business again or R&D and some form of other research, whatever, expansion of some sort, they go out into the market for the shares that they have and they go buy them back to increase the value of the shares that they have. It's reverse dilution. When you open shares up to the market, you're diluting a bit of the ownership of the company. You're giving a piece of your company to the public to be able to buy. When you do a buyback, what you're doing is you're taking that dilution back. So you're strengthening each piece of stock that you have left. That's what a stock buyback is. It serves nobody but the shareholders. Your tax dollars that subsidizes some companies, they do stock buybacks with that public money. I don't know how people aren't rioting for that information alone. That's incredible. Then we have the lobby problem, as we all know. Boy, could we do an hour long on the lobbying problem. You have 12,000 registered lobbyists in D.C., 12 fucking thousand snakes, 12,000 leeches, 12,000 of these people that actively work against you, the voter. These are special interests. They spend $3.5 billion annually to buy policies in favor. It's your vote versus corporate money. Guess who wins that race every single fucking time? There's a Princeton study, and it said that public opinion has near zero impact on the politicians that we vote for. It's oligarchy with democratic characteristics, but the democracy only works on those who foot the bill. That's it. You get to buy your own guy. That's about as democratic as it gets, because they all get to partake in the buying of our public servants. Yes? And then there's the generational theft, right, with Social Security. Boomers only paid 2%. We pay, ding, 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 12.2% in it. The national debt is now $31 trillion. That's our problem. 31 fucking trillion dollars of our problems. We have 31 trillion fucking problems. And with a big, beautiful bill, that number will increase by at least $4 trillion. Then they have the climate change scam. The profits were privatized, but the cost, that was socialized as well. Every crisis becomes an excuse for them to extract more money from us, the carbon they wish to replace. Loyalty means funding your own exploitation. Save the earth. Buy this Tesla. Get this cobalt out of the ground. Who got it? Some kid. He didn't even have fucking shoes. He's in the middle of Africa, mining your cobalt. God, it feels so good to be a liberal and progressive, doesn't it? Driving my fucking electric car with some kid that's dying inhaling fumes in Africa, risking his life to bring into fruition for me, a Westerner. Amazing. Amazing. It's not left versus right. It's just the connected versus everybody else, right? Then the veterans. Oh boy, I feel really bad for them. They got their reality check with the VA and all that. That's the ultimate loyalty test, bleeding for your country, right, boys? And then the promise is you serve your country, we'll take care of you. That's what we're supposed to do for our service members, the soldiers, our warriors. The reality was we get 22 veteran suicides every single day in this country. And the backlog from the VA alone is 300 fucking thousand plus in claims pending. We have broken bodies, broken promises, and broken minds. And we're not helping our warriors. Thank you for your service. Now fuck off. Go die in a drug-addicted ditch in some fucking hole in the ground somewhere of some city, right? The recruitment lies they all set us. College pays for it, yeah? If you navigate the bureaucracy. Healthcare for life at an understaffed VA. Job training for jobs that don't exist. Young men's loyalty gets harvested and discarded, whether on the battlefield or off of it in society, right? Patriots are made into paupers. That's what they got in return. They'll wave your flag at the Super Bowl, right? But won't fund your fucking therapy after breaking your body in a war zone. God, it feels so good to serve this country, doesn't it? So then you might want to ask yourself what? What about the moral institutions? I know this one is going to catch a lot of people by surprise. Surely the church? Surely some churches are good. Not all churches are bad, right? Then you have the prosperity gospel grift today. So I have to go there. We need to talk about the mega churches. You have pastors with salaries in the millions of dollars that fly private jets for ministry services. The congregation is struggling to tithe. You know, God wants you rich, man, but give us your money first. It's loyalty to the leaders in the church, not principles of God. Olstein is one famous one, yeah. T.D. Jakes, name them in the fucking chat. You know, they're flying with private jets to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ while you're struggling. They got multiple mansions, cars, properties all over the world because blessed by God. Yeah, unbelievable. So you have a whole scandal cycle with that where sex abuses get covered up for decades. We know in the Catholic Church already. You have financial fraud that's hidden behind faith with all these mega pastors. And the victims get blamed. The leaders get protected. The peds get moved from parish to parish. The Catholic Church alone has $3 billion in settlements. And they still, despite all of this, demand moral authority. The church is bankrupt, morally bankrupt. All the churches today are practically moral bankruptcy. You might as well pick up your holy book yourself, read it for yourself, distill the knowledge for yourself, make your connection to Jesus, God, whoever it is that you believe in yourself. You do not need a mega church. You do not need this corrupt blasphemy of what you could even call this. I don't even want to give it a name. It's so disgusting. this abomination that they call modern religion, church-led religion. The community support's vanishing in there too. Churches used to be safety nets, not anymore, right? It's pay to pray, but no help when you actually need it. The prosperity's for the leadership, guys. For the followers, you get austerity. Just give us 7% of your check at the end of every week, please. I need another yacht, you know. I got all my nuns, all my whores are coming with me. We're spreading the gospel in Sardinia. Yeah, food banks are empty, but the pastor's garage, he's got the latest Bugatti. What color's your Bugatti, bro? Jesus Christ anointed me with one. Yeah, the loyalty gets harvested and never reciprocated. That's what they're doing today. They monetized your faith and they franchised your community. So, okay, what about civics organizations, yeah? Well, they fucking collapsed. The death of mutual aid. Elks, Eagles, Moose Lodges, memberships are down 75%.
Fresh Media sent $4.99. Really appreciate your work, Bo. Considering everything you have covered and the state of the country, why do you want to come back and leave Romania?
My heart is in America. I only came to Romania to retire my parents. I'm American through and through. I'll live and die in that country. This was only a temporary stopgap for me. I got lucky to meet a woman that I wanted to settle down with and start a family. That was just a cherry on top. Taking care of my family was number one. I have family there, friends there, life there, mission there. I want to make that country better there because it made me better. That's why. It's that simple. I bleed red, white, and blue. I don't give a fuck about every other country. That's why. I have kinship and blood tied to Romania. Cool story, bro. Great. I'm too disconnected. Even though I hear my own language, I feel like a foreigner. I didn't struggle the way these people did. I struggled in America. I fought my way out of the gutter in America. I made myself a success, a business owner, my own man in America. And in America, I will teach my children to be the same, provide the same, and contribute the same. Will I homeschool my kids? Absolutely. That's the only way I would come back, that I could homeschool my kids. That's why. Coming back. I didn't even come back. Technically, I've been on vacation. You could call it that. I've just been enjoying an extended vacation. So going back to civic organizations and their collapse. Bowling leagues, you guys remember those? Those are gone. Where are the bowling leagues? You know, it used to be, it's just something that died out with boomers. Rotary clubs, they're dying. Union memberships, something that actually protected a lot of men's jobs, went from 35% in 54 to 10% in 2024. You get punished for trying to collectivize. You get punished for trying to form unions at even basic places like Starbucks. They destroy you for it. They propagandize you against it when you get hired at Walmart. They show you a stupid propaganda at Walmart about why unions are bad and at-will employment is good. You can leave whenever you want, and we can fire you whenever we want. And the raises you want, you don't have to negotiate with big bad unions. Now, just like everything else, I understand the conversation about unions, that they got corrupted, they grew too big, and just like religion, just like every other institution, its failure was in the people that lead it. The leeches gained control and started sucking it dry of all its goodwill. So yes, unions, old school unions that used to represent the working man are very much in need. So we need a modern form of a union that represents the collective again, not just union leaders that take big paychecks. That's all. But the argument against them will always be from corporate that they're bad, period, because of what union bosses did, which was basically use them as leverage to enrich themselves, like a mega church did. Uses the name of Christ to enrich the pastor. Same concept. They're not bad inherently. What is bad is the people that lead them. And what replaced these civic organizations? Unfortunately, a metastasized cancer. We call it Facebook groups. There's no real connection there. GoFundMe's for medical bills in this dystopian charity that we have here for a dystopian society. Please help me. I need cancer treatment. Will you please save my life?
Ken Rose sent $5. Thumbs up emoji.
Appreciate you, Ken. Because if you don't donate to my GoFundMe, if you don't help me, I'll die. What a system we've built. So the individual solutions to systemic problems is community gets replaced by comment sections like this. This is where you feel at home reading the comments. Loyalty to the algorithm, not your neighbors. You don't even fucking know your neighbor, but your algorithm is perfectly set up. Thank you. Gracias. Getting food while you're streaming. What a life. Essentially, we traded mutual aid for mutual likes, guys, and everybody lost in this process. The betrayal extends to our most vulnerable moments. That's the sickest part of this all, because now we have to get into the absolutely disgusting side of this, and that's healthcare and the financial institutions. Healthcare is profit over people. Make America Healthy Again was supposed to save that. Hopefully still is able to save that, but we'll see. Because what's the thing? Bottom line, premiums. We're paying premiums for decades. And when we go get a health checkup or we have a health condition, something, the claim gets denied for pre-existing condition or in-network and out-of-network maze that's designed to deny you from day one. That doctor isn't in our network. We're going to have to decline this. Shut the fuck up, bro. What's the point of my premium then? You stupid fuck. I've been paying for 5 years, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. Once my pinky got broken, I just need to go in for one doctor visit, and you tell me it's out of network and I pay out of pocket and that you won't even cover this, you piece of fucking shit. Get Luigi'd. Get Luigi'd. Don't care. You got Luigi'd. Don't care. They were playing that guy getting shot on the street, and I didn't give a fuck. Why? Because the CEOs are directly responsible for how many of these fucking tens of thousands of claims they denied that caused the slow, agonizing death of people. Yeah? So we got medical bankruptcy as the number one cause of personal bankruptcy in this country, in the United States. 500 fucking thousand families annually get destroyed by this, guys. And they punish you for this shit too.
David Wallace sent $19.99. What is the final tipping point where we will finally start to see some reporting in the mainstream media on the fact that the economy for the average person is not doing well? What will it take to bring it to the street?
That's a good question. I think what they're basically doing right now is fudging all the numbers because technically we're in a recession, but they've changed the definition of what a recession is so much because they don't want to be, like, for example, Biden should have declared us to be in a recession, but he didn't because obviously the Democrats would then auto lose. Trump also doesn't want to declare that we're in a recession because that, midterms are coming up soon-ish, but that's going to leave a stain that gives the other side ammunition to talk about and feed down their zealots' throats for a year and a half. So when are they going to actually say technically we're in a recession? Well, just look at the stock market, bro. In order to fix the economy, we actually need to raise interest rates to buoy up the dollar and to bring down the prices of assets. This is why Powell doesn't want to lower interest rates because they've already used that lever. They can't really lower them anymore. They lowered it by 50 basis points, I believe, in September or November. And the yield on the bonds spiked, which basically means that investors, despite the lowered interest rates, don't want to invest in government bonds because they think it's a sign of a weak economy. Something's going on under the hood. Normally, when you lower interest rates, that spurs investment. It's easier to borrow money, easier to expand businesses, easier to do everything in the economy. If we lower interest rates to 1%, like Trump said, all assets against the dollar are going to explode. Housing will explode again. Cars will explode again. Borrowing for cars explodes again. Bitcoin will explode again. It's going to be a repeat of the money printing, essentially, from COVID. So if you can lower rates and keep the economy running hot, although the fundamentals are completely fucked, then it all seems good. It's kicking the can down the road. So, and why? Why do they need to lower interest rates? Because if they don't, restructuring the government debt that they owe, on interest alone will be well over $1 trillion. And that number will spiral out of control. The country will go bankrupt. So do we lower the interest rate to save our country, but have assets explode and people can't afford anything? Or do we keep them around where they're at right now and actually do some real spending cuts to save this country? We chose to not do real spending cuts. We chose to increase the debt ceiling. We chose more poverty in the future for our children.
Isaac sent $5. Medicare is a joke though. It's not meant to heal you fully but to treat the symptoms so you become a returning customer.
Essentially, yes. Okay. Thank you, brother. Chronic illnesses are where all the big money is. Yes, sir. Stream is still going. Okay. And the loyalty punishment continues, boys. Even in medicine. So if you stay with the same insurance, your rates will increase yearly. This is a thing. Long-term patients, you have no relationship discount with anybody. Hospital loyalty doesn't exist. You still get treated like a stranger every single time. Every fucking visit starts from zero. No credit for years of payments on absolutely anything, right? And then take your fucking data also. Your medical records get sold to the biggest or the highest bidder. Privacy policies that you can't read through because they're practically novels. How fucked up is that? That they actively use your data to profit off of you. And then even things like, I regret this now knowing what happened, but the genetic data, I did the 23andMe stuff. And seeing them go bankrupt and selling off that data to God knows who to fucking build some goddamn super weapon, some DNA weapon against me. It's a wrap. I fucked up, boys. So I'm a target now. It's over. It's over. The next pandemic, they got my DNA. I fucked up. I didn't take the jab, but I fucked up with that stuff. I fell for that one. That's a rare L. I took it. So yeah, they got me. They're gonna clone me in the Matrix. Fuck. So if I ever disappear off the internet, and then I come back and I look, kind of like the latest iteration of Biden, where like my fucking nose is off, my face is drooping off my skeleton and shit. And I start to talk crazy about, fucking single mothers is cool and, to be a cuck, like to sit in corners and, shit like that. They got me, boys. That's not me. And I want you to know I got cloned. Okay? So, you've been warned. Okay? Yeah. So, essentially, going back on topic, though, they turned healing into a subscription service where death is the only cancellation for you, essentially. Or if you're in Canada, you could just opt out. They'll totally just kill you off for, at your own volition, like totally. And the banks, well, the 2008 lesson, we could just run through that really quickly. They gambled. We paid for it. The executives, they got their bonuses. We got foreclosed on. Too big to fail meant you're too small to matter, essentially. Privatized profits and socialized losses, despite us being called a capitalist country. There's nothing capitalist about it. We live in a corporate welfare state, and we're the slaves of it, right? Loyalty means nothing to the bag holder. Then they have the fee extraction machine where they overdraft the dog shit out of you like banks. They'll make $35 fucking billion annually, and it targets poor people. Who do you think gets overdrafted the most? The account maintenance fees for your own money. How does that make any fucking sense? Or you must deposit a minimum of, I don't know, X amount of dollars to avoid the account maintenance fee? What maintenance fee, bro? What maintenance fee does it take to keep my digital money in this digital bank account, you fucking asshole? And they were charging these maintenance fees or fees for transactions for COVID disbursement payments, right? You remember that? Banks made millions of dollars in transaction fees or some fees of some sort to give you the money that the government was giving you for relief. Fucking hell, right? ATM fees to access your cash. You get punished for being poor. Loyalty means you pay more. They don't give a fuck. Then they have the whole credit control scheme. There's some weird algorithm that controls your fucking life in America. It's called your credit score. And it takes years to build, right? But one fucking mistake is 7 years of punishment in this fucking thing. And how did they come up with this algorithm? Why is this formula so important, right? You pay on time for decades, you get good credit, not excellent credit. How do you get excellent credit? It's a Kafka-esque system. You can't understand it. You never will understand it. It's secret. And there's 3 big bureaus that track your credit score, and they all give you slightly different numbers. It's a horse shit. Yeah. Loyalty to the system that sees you as a risk score. That's not a benefit, right? Your bank would sell your fucking grandmother if the algorithm said it was profitable. That's the truth. So what does this do for the human psyche, guys? What's the psychological toll for this fucking life? Well, you start to ask yourself shit. Why be loyal when betrayal is guaranteed? The cynicism, it's used as a survival mechanism today. You're expecting exploitation because it's a norm in society today. They've normalized being exploited by companies. For example, young people are always prepared to leave a company because they know there's no loyalty there. They know they're about to get screwed. They know that they're up for the chopping block, Trust becomes stupidity. Only a bozo sits at one company for years. Nowadays, we look at somebody that says they're a company man, that they've been there for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and go, what the fuck? Why would you do that? Right? That's the atomization effect. There's no institution to belong to. There's no collective identity that's allowed anymore. It's the individual versus the system, and you lose. Right? You're alone against these fucking machines. Loyalty to nothing, and you belong to nowhere. That's called the mental health crisis that we're seeing today. Everyone has anxiety. There's no stable ground anymore. Depression is looming over fucking almost everybody. There's no meaning in institutional life. There's deaths of despair today. There's no community to catch you anymore. Institutions they used to mean to help make it better, but now they make it worse. Yeah? Therapy costs more than the problems it actually treats today. How many people are on chronic therapy? Rainbow-colored people, they go in there for a therapist that chronically treats them for a problem that could have been solved by touching some fucking grass, by actually doing the work instead of empowering their worst characteristics, self-victimization constantly. If a therapist can't fix you in 6 months or less, they're wasting your fucking money, right? They destroyed every single fucking support system. Then they wonder why we're all failing, why there's failure to launch, why you're so fucking lazy to work, why you can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Soldier, back in my day, I worked 48 hours a day and I walked through 30 million miles under 100 degree heat. You fucking pansy. I got my pension. Ridiculous. This shit is like generational trauma, dude. Millennials, basically, you could call them the betrayed generation because they did everything right. We got nothing for it. They told us to go to college. We're the last of Gen Z is at least smart enough. They got caught in between. Gen Z saw the bullshit from us millennials and they were like, fuck that, dude. College is kind of a scam. We need to make it happen over here on social media and do some other shit and some side hustles. And I'm going to drive in fucking Uber here and deliver there. And also I got to hustle and make something out of nothing. They saw it from the get-go. There was no company man for Gen Z. They were like, companies don't give a fuck. Institutions don't care. We're all going into debt. Fuck it, right? You get college debt, no jobs, no homes. That's what you get. Your parents' advice made things worse for you as a millennial. You're the first generation that's worse off than your parents. That's fucking insane. Loyalty to the system that failed them. Please, right? Our cynics are the Gen Z, essentially. They grew up never even knowing what functional institutions were like. For them, it's all a charade. This whole thing is a fucking scam, bro. The gig economy natives, you could call them that. They grew up on gig economies. They're the ones hustling these weirdo jobs that shouldn't even fucking exist. They trust nothing and they hustle for everything. They basically they were born with the side gig mentality because that's all they had available to them. For them, loyalty is like a boomer delusion. That's what Gen Z looks at it as. And then the social fabric tears all around us. We have no shared institutions to build trust on anymore. Everything in the world is transactional today, down to your marriage, down to dating, down to taking a fucking piss, down to getting seen by your doctor. It's all a transaction. There's no care in the world. There's no humanity in anything anymore. Even praying in a church is transactional today with tiths. Community is impossible without common ground with anybody. Society became a market. They commodified everything. The citizens are the customers now and the users all in one. All right. We're not having a mental health crisis. We're having a meaning crisis caused by institutional betrayal. The system around us is crumbling. That's why people are turning to religion. That's why other people turn to drugs. That's why other people turn to like OnlyFans and sex work and greed and hedonism and consumerism, right? Materialism, because that's what you turn to when you have a meaning crisis. You don't know what your purpose is. You belong nowhere. That's what that is, right? And what is the new loyalty landscape, if you want to call it that? They're digital tribes, what we have here. Parasocial bonding with your favorite creators, for example. You have more loyalty to influencers than institutions for obvious reasons. There's YouTubers that are more trusted than newspapers. Podcast hosts serve as father figures in the world today, right? Twitch streamers as the new form of community. At least they're honest about the transaction. It's parasocial but predictable, but they're the only ones that are being authentic or real. And yeah, that's me. Exactly. That's me. I am a result of the broken system. There's no lie here. We know that. This shouldn't exist, but the system is so busted, and here we are. Yeah. And the brand loyalty shifts, man. It goes from companies to creators, from institutions to individuals, right? From permanent to fluid. You can cancel and move on. Your loyalty is the exit strategy. If your favorite creator tells you, I trust this product, I use this, you're more likely to go buy it than any commercial that's ever been placed in front of your face. If I told you guys, listen, this is what I use for XYZ, it's helped me, what are the odds that you listen and buy that product? As opposed to any single fucking commercial randomly playing across your screen ever since you were born. That's why they try to offer creators so much fucking money. So much to push dog shit like Tej Handley and, all this other garbage that these YouTubers are pushing. Bro, you want perfect skin? You want to shave? You want to wipe your ass? Here's a rainbow colored dildo. Here's why you should buy this subscription. Here's why you should do this. Fuck off. I mean, crypto is like the perfect example of this no trust thing. You essentially be your own bank, right? It promises real ownership. You own, you have custody of your money. Nobody can take it from you except some hackers. Right? Web3 is looked at as like an institutional replacement, super early, super scammy still, but it addresses the trust problem. And I think for Gen Alpha, Web3 will be big, still being built out. And people pledge allegiance today to usernames because at least they can't fire you and at least they can come across as authentic, right? So what is the correction in the loyalty market, essentially? Well, What? What could you say? Transactional clarity, right? No more fake family rhetoric, pure exchange relationships. You're seeing that all in the world today. The sugar daddy, sugar baby thing is becoming normalized, the standard. fans, parasocial bonding relationships, chicks openly talking about selling their kitty for a bag or some shoes, right? It's basically what he can buy me, right? That's where we're headed, for money for service, period. That's it. It's honest exploitation. It's better than fake care, better than pretending to be loved. That's what the mentality of most of the people are today. Yeah. And at least everybody knows where they stand. So I understand the people that indulge in that. It's like the free agent mindset. That's what it is. Every person is simultaneously a business. Every relationship is a contract. Every loyalty can be negotiated, right? It's fucking mercenary, but rational. You have to give him that. You're protecting yourself first in the broken world, basically. So some other cool things that I've noticed that have happened in those like co-ops. If you guys ever been to REI, the outdoor place, that's considered a co-op. Their people are paid very well. They're always happy and helpful. The company is doing great, and the workers share in the profits. You ever notice how well an REI runs? So I'm seeing that kind of stuff. I'm seeing small-scale trust networks forming. Not institutional, but like decentralized trust. Local over global is what you could call it. Human-sized institutions, small teams, things like that, where actual reciprocity is possible. There's a human element. Yeah. The future of loyalty, I honestly believe, is like small, local, and potentially in the future could be verified by a blockchain of some sort. So I don't know. If you ask for so what's the solutions to all this, right? What would be the new rules to the game? Oh no, somebody said REI got bought out. How long ago did they get bought out? That sucks. Damn. Someone said I worked there for years. It's Corpo now. Fuck. Yes, I didn't know they got bought out. Well, before they got bought out, everything was running pretty good. Oh well. Guess that's going to shit too. So what can you do? Strategies. What are some strategies to fix all these problems, guys? You probably have to do a simple calculation of what you give versus what you get. Anything with negative ROI, cut that shit out of your life. Community, big on a human scale. Communal, anything, honestly, co-oping, stuff like that. You have to job hop every 2 to 3 years. It's absolutely mandatory. You need multiple income streams always in the world today. Got to be like an octopus and have your hand in everything. In case there's an economic downturn or your company decides to cut your neck out from under you right away, pop, just to save a few bucks because AI is coming. You need to invest in skills over the company. Teach yourself portable value, portable skills. Don't make it company specific, right? You have to build. Probably a big one will be building your own institutions today. And I say that in the form of like these small networks, like groups, private communities that you see that we have when we have conversations, stuff like that, where skill sharing groups, or we're teaching each other, like you saw at the very beginning of the stream. But the small trust networks, what they do is they link you with individuals that you could trust. We have guys that are doctors. We have a lawyer. We have dudes living overseas doing all sorts of things. We have guys in, various advents of society in every vertical that is doing something that can help you solve a problem that you have. Guys have already linked up and have, what came out of linking up, for example. Let's just say one dude went to Thailand. There was a guy already living there. He basically had a contact on the ground. The moment he got off the plane, he got his hand held, walked through the process, and he settled in Thailand. And that's because we had a guy that was already living there. So something as daunting as leaving the country and settling, ta-da, could be helped by somebody. If you needed a doctor to take a look at something, you get a second opinion. Ta-da, that's where you would have it, in your in-network group that you've made. Small trust, yeah? Just be as loyal to institutions as they are to you, which honestly is not at all. That's really what you need. So what do you do from a regulatory perspective? I don't know, dude. Antitrust. We have to revive that again. Non-competes, they shouldn't even be a thing. Portable benefits should be mandatory. Like, why the fuck is healthcare tied to a job? Right? That kind of stuff is crazy. The conversation with UBI will be very interesting. Like I said, coming into the future, will we talk also about Medicare for all? Because I see that coming first before universal basic income, right? Are we going to have some sort of public banking options, right, that reduces institutional leverage, some sort of transparency or where our money's going? Are we going to get a peep into the fractional reserve banking at all? Do we know how much money is actually out there, or will we not, right? So We have to make institutions earn their loyalty to us or die trying. That's the only path forward. It's not coming back. I don't think institutions are coming back. We're headed to a world of decentralization, not with just money like Bitcoin, but everything in general. Contracts, trust, social. We're going to form our own communes, both in the digital world and in the physical world. I honestly believe that's where we're headed. The cities will start to get emptied out and people will go back into the countryside, right? So co-ops, guys, community land trusts, mutual aid networks, right? Create what you need, scale small, right? A small scale at first, and then you scale up slowly. So it's okay that they broke the social contract, right? It's fine. As long as we know the rules to the game. Don't expect, our disloyalty won't be betrayal in our eyes. It's just self-defense. It's self-preservation. That's it. That's a good way to leave this off of. When they gaslight us, I'm just preserving myself and my people.